begin tonight by bringing you up to date on the shooting that happened near Coors Field this afternoon. One person was killed there, at least 3 others were injured. Police aren't even sure if they're looking for one shooter or more. This happened at 21st and Lawrence in Lodo. This was kind of a moving scene for a while as police were checking out other reports of potential suspects and maybe other victims. Our Anusha Roy has been down there in that neighborhood of Lodo, and there's not a whole lot that police are able to offer the public at this point.
No, but what we can tell you is kind of setting the scene here. So we know that this shooting happened outside in between Larimer and Lawrence, about halfway down this block. And like you mentioned, we do know that 4 people were shot. 1 person has been passed away and 3 people taken to Denver Health. And as you see in a lot of these situations, very fluid with information. Denver police saying that they were hearing that a 5th person was hurt earlier tonight, but at this point they haven't made contact with anybody, haven't found them. So they are still looking into that. Like you mentioned, they are looking for possible suspect or suspects. There's so much about what happened tonight that we still don't know. If you are familiar with this area, we're about a block away from Coors Field, a lot of restaurants and bars and apartments, all of this happening as people were trying to come home, trying to get to their cars, and then even hearing gunshots from their offices and then looking out and seeing a couple of people running away from this area near 21st and Larimer. But at this point, Kyle, police are saying it is simply too early to figure out exactly what led up to the shooting earlier tonight.
All right, Anusha Roy in Lodo Force. Thank you, Anusha. Colorado has the death penalty, but does not use the death penalty. So Christopher Watts essentially received the maximum punishment today, sentenced to life without parole for killing his family. His pregnant wife, Shanann, his daughters, Bella and Celeste. Shannann's parents agreed to this deal. It spares them the pain and uncertainty of a long trial and an indefinite stay on death row. In court, Weld County DA Michael Rourke revealed that Christopher Watts smothered his daughters. The DA heartbreakingly described how one of the girls fought for her life. Watts' mother spoke in court today, begged her son to confess, and said that she no longer believes that he didn't kill the girls as he once claimed. It could be months before we know precisely what led up to an explosion at a retirement community in Aurora on Friday. Carol Ross, a knitting teacher, died when that blast tore through a row of townhouses. A lot of people have told us that they smelled gas in the area prior to the explosion. Our Marshall Zellinger shows us how these explosions happen.
3, 2, 1. A gas explosion in a balloon is comparable to any gas explosion in an enclosed space.
We know that the explosion at Heather Gardens in Aurora was a gas-fed fire, meaning whatever caused the spark ignited the gas.
A gas-fed fire, the entire room goes at the same time. So once it's at the right concentration, you add the spark, just like the balloon, the whole thing explodes pretty much instantaneously.
Because we heard from so many who smelled gas in Aurora, we wanted to know what other circumstances are needed for an explosion to happen.
You usually need a confined space in order for natural gas to cause an explosion.
At the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, educator Brian Hostetler filled a balloon with hydrogen, a similar but slightly safer demonstration than the methane that would be in natural gas. And then he added heat, the ingredient that would spark an explosion.
It would just go like almost instantly in slow motion. The balloon burns away and then it recoils itself. Then the gas in the middle just basically starts at one point and almost instantly burns into itself.
It requires the right mix of gas and oxygen, and then that spark.
Things like a furnace starting up. It could also be a car ignition. It could be any other flame source could cause gas in that right concentration to go up in flame. If there's too much of a natural gas or any gas in the environment, it will not explode. And if there's too little, then it will not explode. It has to be just right.
And that's what we set out to talk about. Just because you smell gas doesn't mean if someone drove by with a cigarette and threw it out the window that would cause the explosion. That if it's in too little concentration, you'll just smell it. If it's too much, your carbon monoxide detector should be going off and you might be asphyxiating at that point. It's that correct mix and then that spark that's just going to blow it up, Kyle.
And we heard from people, Marshall, on Friday night who were just heartbroken because they said, well, I drove by or I walked by with my pet and I smelled it and I should have done something. Just smelling it in the out of doors, you know, doesn't quite get us to the point where something terrible happens.
No, and that's why the sulfur is in there, because once you start to smell it, then you know something is wrong, and the people like Excel and the fire department can come fix the problem before it gets to the explosion.
All right, Marshall, thank you. 2 months after a Colorado State trooper was caught on camera joking about far-right activists fighting Antifa members at the Capitol, That incident is still under investigation, but the trooper's suspension is over. Sergeant Robert Juckham was telling far-right demonstrators how he planned to get them off the Capitol grounds without some kind of brawl breaking out. He told them that if they wanted to fight the leftist activists who were waiting nearby, stick around. He said he also had a couple of guys who wanted to fight. CSP told us they haven't determined if Juckham did anything wrong, but we know that his paid suspension was lifted after a week. The baseball team formerly known as the Colorado Springs Sky Sox has a new name after letting fans vote among 5 options. The team did not pick any of them. In fact, they told me today they knew they weren't going to go with any of the fan choices while they were asking fans to vote. They have rebranded as the Rocky Mountain Vibes. Their mascot, naturally, is a s'more that looks like Guy Fieri. Now, I've been outspoken in favor of one of the 5 names up for a vote, the Rocky Mountain Oysters. That would have been a whole new ball game, but apparently the team did not have the testicular fortitude to do it. A Metro State marketing professor says they might have heard that Colorado Springs wasn't down with that, so vibes it is.
I'm not really getting it. I guess there might be a camping thing. But, you know, I think it's a lot better than the other 5 choices. And so I think the main thing is you have to look at the fact that they asked the town what they thought, and then they ended up going with a different choice.
Duber-Smith, for his money, thinks they just should have stuck with the Sky Sox. The team wouldn't tell me today which name won the fan voting, which means it totally was the Rocky Mountain Oysters. It's been a busy travel week, and somebody out at DIA crossed a line in spectacular fashion. Listen, we have all been late for a flight, but you can't just park your vehicle in a lane of traffic in the garage and walk away. Look right in front of the Audi. There's an arrow. That arrow indicates the direction that all of the cars should be driving. It was not a personal invitation to that one entitled driver, hey buddy, just put it here. If you'd like to tell somebody they've crossed the line, email pictures to next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext.
Our next question from a viewer named Matt is about boundaries. He says Denver's Rhino Arts District only exists along Brighton Boulevard between the train tracks and the South Platte River, with the north and south ends being I-70 and Blake. You'll hear others say Rhino runs out east to streets like Larimer or even Stout.
And right now somebody's shouting at the TV, Rhino is made up. It's 5 points. All right, so here is the map that the Rhino Art District staff showed us. The reddish-orange line there is Rhino's official border since 2005. You got I-70 on the north side, I-25 on the west, Park Ave on the south. East is the alley between Lawrence and Larimer. The Rhino Art District is carved out of a number of historical neighborhoods, Globeville, Rio Swansea, 5 Points, Cole, and it's not technically the Rhino neighborhood, it's the Rhino Art District, if you believe such a thing exists. All right, what question can we answer for you next? Email us, next@9news.com, or give me a shout with the hashtag #HeyNext.
The gun lobby doesn't want to hear from doctors about gun violence, but our Dr. Camilla Sasson argues otherwise.
Nothing else that we deal with in medicine where you can wreak so much havoc so quickly on so many people.
Today's most Colorado thing is the automotive equivalent of wearing shorts in the snow, and how a group of drinking buddies are leveraging their buying power. Next.
Firefighter C really is hard for all of us to comprehend.
I've lost a number of colleagues.
We have found out that the rates for firefighter PTSD, suicide, substance abuse, they're really high.
Little stresses would set me off wanting to harm myself. That was the bottom.
And that's why we knew we needed to tell this story.
It took me 2 or 3 years, and my wife really trying to convince me that I really needed help.
My boys had come up to my wife and said they'd like their old dad back.
There have been frightening things in the news lately, familiar things for many Coloradans. Check in with your family and friends. If you or someone you know needs mental health support or emotional help, it's available right this second. A real person ready to provide real problem solving. Call or text Colorado Crisis Services. Let's take care of ourselves and each other.
Todo está bien? Did you have a good summer?
I'm on track to do something good.
Our school, come on. We love weird kids.
This is me.
Place was like a wow. It's gonna be great today.
I think that's amazing.
I want to welcome everybody.
That girl portrays determination.
That was a tight squeeze.
Oh, wow. Keeping my fingers crossed.
We are Broncos.
I'm a Broncos fan because we got the best team in the NFL.
My whole life I've been a Broncos fan.
Denver till we die. We bring the thunder. Bronco fans are the best.
It's probably the most exciting thing that you could ever feel.
They're the best team in the league, obviously. We got the best fans. The whole stadium shakes and everybody's jumping around and rooting and hollering. There's nothing like this crowd.
Broncos fans will always stay loyal.
We're looking forward to another Super Bowl win.
This is Bronco country.
We bleed orange and blue.
We see the same regurgitated news and images over and over and over again. I want to present something new to you each night. Hearing perspectives, hearing opinions, hearing analysis. The most Colorado thing we saw today is actually a weekend flashback to a Jeep outfitted with icicles in the parking lot of the Costco in Westminster Saturday night. Randy Michaelis sent us this picture. Randy caught so you got the driver throw up the roof to stay dry in the freezing rain, but still thought, you know what, it's nice enough we don't need to put up the side panels. That was on the same day as 9Cares Colorado shares on ice. Yeah, it was chilly. Roll that beautiful bean footage on the frozen table. I've only been around here 11 years, but I cannot recall another year when the tables where we sort the donations were actually iced over. The ice was new and novel. Your incredible generosity was wonderfully familiar. Even in the nasty weather, just car after car, pulling up, opening up, revealing your gifts of food and warm clothes for our neighbors. I think especially of the woman on Saturday who told me, I've been there, been on the needing end. She was grateful to be able to give. Think about that. I've thought about it a few times since Saturday. A woman who was grateful not to receive help, but just to be in a position to give it. Among the gifts she gave over the weekend was perspective.
And we're kicking off the week with a nice warming trend after that cold blast of ice, wind and snow on Saturday. Temperatures today close to 50, and that's about where we should be this time of year. And the trend will be for warmer weather as we move through this week, and great weather for holiday travelers across the state. We're 30 at the airport right now. Winds are southeast and 9, wind chill about 22. There's a storm in the Midwest, one in the Pacific, and we're kind of sandwiched in between with high pressure anchored here in the storm track to the north of us. Little more than just a few high clouds coming in. Light winds and temperatures trending above average as that mild air from the desert moves toward Colorado. Although we do have some snow in the high country forecast for Wednesday, and some of that snow moves into Denver come next weekend. That'd be the third weekend in a row. Not tonight. Calm, quiet and cool. Our low at 26. Tomorrow we'll call for sunshine with temperatures in the mid 50s by 2 o'clock. We'll come close to 60 tomorrow and probably get there either Wednesday or Thursday. Mountain snow for the holiday on Thanksgiving, and then a little rain and snow coming into Denver Saturday and then again on Monday. Light the lights on Friday, Broncos game on Sunday. There's a lot going on. Keep those sunrise and sunset pictures coming. Beautiful shots coming in the last 24 hours from Estes Park, Kyle.
Kathy, thank you. The National Rifle Association is mad at doctors for daring to point out that the NRA's products put holes in humans. Holes that doctors struggle to repair so that more Americans don't die at the hands of other Americans with guns. The NRA recently told, quote, self-important anti-gun doctors to stay in their lane. Our Dr. Camilla Sasson was one of 2 ER docs on duty at her hospital the night of the Aurora Theater shooting in 2012.
Every time there's a shooting that happens, I think we, and I say we collectively as the medical community, kind of go back to think about those patients that we've taken care of who have had gunshots. I was one of the 2 doctors who was on for the Aurora shooting. The sheer volume of people that come in, especially that night, was something that I had never experienced before. Everything's just craziness, it's chaos, everything's going on around you, and you have to just focus in, and you focus in with your team. We train for this, but nobody trains for what you see that night. We have these patients or these stories that come to mind every time you hear about another gunshot victim or you hear about another shooting that happens. This is happening every day, every single day in the U.S., and we're looking at 90 plus people a day that are dying from firearms. And this would never be the case for people dying from the flu, people dying in car crashes. If a school bus was crashing every single day in the U.S., we would stop all the school buses. It's the people who have caused this, and so if we don't, again, think about how we're going to treat the people, we can't ever get to treating the problem.
Where is your emergency?
It keeps happening, and I think that's when it becomes really real, and that's when you see doctors responding. What gets really frustrating right now is that there's just not that level of coming together and trying to figure out how do we just stop this. And that's not taking away people's guns, it's not taking away their rights, it's about coming together to come up with a solution together. And I think this is our lane conversation is really just about the fact that anyone who's affected by gun violence, which isn't just doctors or healthcare providers, it's teachers, it's daycare workers, it's people moms whose 3-year-olds have died. I think what we're realizing is that this is really everybody's lane. This is a public health crisis, and if we don't come together and figure out what to do about it, there's no end in sight.
The thoughts of our Dr. Camilla Sasson. When we talk about the 33,000 Americans a year who are killed by guns, we should note, and Dr. Camilla does as well, 2/3 of those deaths are suicides.
Their favorite watering hole closed, and they're thirsty about it. So a dedicated group of drinkers puts out a request for proposals. They want bars to earn their business.
It's never going to be the same.
And it's a sign that even in 2018, Colorado is still the West. Next.
Okay, no problem. Everybody follow me.
Get ready for a gnarly ride. This dude rips.
I'm Jacques Huot. They call me Frenchie. I am 41 years old, each leg, egal 82.
82 years old, Jacques keeps moving. Sure, he can ride, but his charisma is what got the attention of Carbondale filmmaker Michelle Smith.
Oh, I love Michelle. Too bad she's married.
5 Point Film Festival's Night of Stoke is the kind of evening you rock chacos instead of heels. Jacques,
the love of your life.
Michelle, and Jacques' new friend are in the house for a screening of Michelle's film, The French, a tale too big for one person to tell.
You meet somebody like that, and it's like, I'm not afraid to get old.
For that, I'm glad I motivate people to keep moving.
I really didn't feel safe anymore at home.
Sometimes I wouldn't eat. It was like this hunger pain in your stomach. It was just so lonely. I just felt like I was not important to anyone.
I never thought homelessness could happen to someone like me.
I remember coming here and I felt comfort, I felt safe.
Graduating to valedictorian, getting a job, keeping the job, it's just a good feeling.
Because I've completely turned my life around and made it into what I've always wanted it to be. There's people out there who can help. There's people out there who care, and things can get better.
If you call 1-800-RUNAWAY, you will get connected to the help you need.
1 in 4 girls will be sexually abused before her 18th birthday, and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before turning 18. Only 1 in 10 will tell. But today, thousands of children will enter a Children's Advocacy Center with the courage to talk about the unimaginable, because one adult with courage was there. Are you the one with courage? To find a Children's Advocacy Center near you and to learn more, go to coloradocac.org/1.
Celebrate the season and help us light the lights. Join us Friday, November 23rd in front of the Denver City and County Building for festive lights, food trucks, and live music and more. Or watch from home live at 6:20 p.m. on 9 News.
All right, let's play another round of What Do You Say? There's a whole neighborhood full of these pronunciation confusions west of Broadway in Denver. That's where the streets are named after native tribes, but they're not always pronounced the same way. Here's the street that we're visiting today. Lenny, Ellie, and Suda all asked that we set people straight. So we asked the smart folks at the Denver Public Library, what do you say?
The correct pronunciation is Pecos. We do occasionally hear Pecos, but it is Pecos Street. It was named for the Pueblo Indians who lived along the Pecos River in New Mexico. And it may derive from a word that means the place where there is water.
There you go, Pecos, place where there is water. What other names in Colorado do you hear tongues tripping all over? Could be a street or a river or a mountain, any kind of place name. Email suggestions to next@9news.com or use the hashtag HeyNext. There was no going out for a drink at Gov's Park Tavern in Denver over the weekend for the first time in 40 years. Gov's closed the weekend before. That has displaced a group of 30 friends who'd gone to Gov's religiously for years. A group that has now put out a formal request for proposals, a document asking other nearby bars to bid for their business. It's complete with an introduction, objective requirements, and a timeline. Yes, they take their drinking seriously. So seriously, we felt the need to provide sober subtitles.
We're looking for a place that will take care of the bar, take care of also the regulars, and go from there.
This is where I need to say the official RFP from the group stresses that they do not drink and drive. This new hangout needs to be walkable or an easy Uber away from the neighborhood. It does not sound like they are picky. They have American dollars and they want to trade them for the devil's nectar.
We need something, so throw us a bone.
Speak on it.
Give us something.
Speak on
it.
Speak on it.
So we can come and spend money at your place, at your bar, hey, if it's a place of residence, whatever.
We got money. We
got money.
Oh man, to have friends that are good enough to stand by you when you're that sauce doing an interview on TV, but not friends enough to drag you away from the camera. The group says they've received some proposals. At last check, they have not awarded their business to any specific watering hole. A sign that some Coloradans still do it old school, and your feedback next.
Every day, I seek a positive direction for my life.
Through my accomplishments.
And now, with help.
And support from my family and others I own.
I own my recovery from addiction and depression.
Join the Voices for Recovery. It's worth it.
For information on mental and substance use disorders, including prevention and treatment referral, call 720-435-0686. Brought to you by Advocates for Recovery.
The Broncos Huddle. Wednesday nights at 6:30 on 9 News.
Too often we fall into this, there's this side and there's this side. Well, you know what? Sometimes this side isn't telling the truth, and we should be saying that. It's important to hear things you don't agree with because it is the single best way to test your own beliefs. It's a sign of thoughtfulness to hear a perspective that you disagree with and to say, you know what? I hadn't considered that. That's a really good point. I want to give you a fresh perspective, something that you haven't thought of. It doesn't matter if you agree. It just matters that we listen to each other.
Get to know the Johnsons 5 nights a week.
How about I give you $100?
No, 200, and you agree not to have any more children.
Okay, that's a decision I have. No.
A traditional family.
I'm here to help.
You're not Mom.
Where's Mom?
And an unconventional comedy.
I think you look good for your age, Dad.
40's not bad, right?
You're only 40? Good Lord, you've lived a hard life.
Weekdays starting at 5 p.m. on Channel 20.
Hey, Denver, what happens when the most daring team in daytime takes on trending stories live? Anything and everything.
I am pro sex workers. You're crazy.
I said it. You are totally off base here. I can't believe I'm saying this. I do agree with you.
Denver, join the live conversation.
With the DBL Nation.
Daily Blast Live, the talk of what's trending. Weekdays at 1 on 9 News.
I aspire to be a writer. New York Times bestseller is the dream.
My dream is to become a marine biologist and to work hands-on with animals.
I dream to travel around the world and be an influential speaker.
I want to be a businesswoman or a doctor.
My goals and aspirations are to make a difference.
My dream is to be an Air Force pilot.
I want to go to med school and I want to be a trauma surgeon.
I always ask my family for world peace for Christmas.
It's a sign that you can go get hitched at the Custer County Courthouse in Westcliff. Gail sent this photo our way, and it got us thinking, if they have a hitching post for horses and carriages in Custer County and they're parking, that means they can also cross the line. Please, somebody send me a photo of a horse and buggy improperly parked in Custer County, and keep all the signs coming. Next@9news.com is our email, or you can always use the hashtag HeyNext. We did not start this program a few years back with the intention of building an army of dancing babies. It is just something that happened. And you know, it's been a while since we showed you this montage of Next Youngest fans from across Colorado. Their parents who are watching have sent us in these videos, and there's a new one to add. That is 15-month-old Savannah. Her mom Amanda says Savannah loves her some Next. Maybe it's just that opening theme song. She posted the video to our Facebook page. We used to get so many people write in and say they hated the theme song. Why? This is a terrible theme song. We keep it for the babies, all right? We do it for the children. Pete says, hey, Kyle, as a Denver native born at 47th and Columbine, always understood that I was from Swansea, not Swansea. I tripped and dropped an extra syllable in there, and I screwed up a pronunciation in the same show that we were doing a pronunciation segment. Mike Thompson says it's more the Rhino Beer District than the Rhino Art District. You don't need to choose. You can go down and enjoy both, and I encourage you to. See you next time. Subscribe to the Next YouTube channel for the best of Next and some other stuff.